Okay, so we are gonna add this head to my mod. Default Steve. I'll show how this thing works. In 1.18 I've added that you can add your own parts. If you have a model made in Blockbench or probably other programs that can do it. And you can add it using JSON. Well, there's multiple ways you can go about this. You can make your own model, I guess. If you make a new model and then make sure that you use the Bedrock model. And then box UV is important, and then it doesn't really matter the texture size, that's up to you. Or you can go to my website, you go to model.json and you download the basic Steve. And then you have the basic Steve. We're here for JSON parts for more player models. In the latest 1.18 I've added that you can add your own models. I would suggest starting with Blockbench and then just downloading the basic Steve model from my website, basic Steve. And then you get here. And here you can just add cubes. I am not a modeler myself. I am just a simple programmer, but then you can like make it bigger or smaller. To the left you can see where it's being textured. You can move it around. You can make your own texture. That is Blockbench basics, but we're not gonna do that today. Luckily I have a good friend, Karltoffelchen, that made me a head. Also using the basic Steve model, but parts are disabled because you don't actually need those when you add them into the game. And when you end up making the texture for the part, it's just weird when when Steve shows. If you do want to make your own model, you can, in Blockbench, just the Bedrock model. That's the one you need. Not the block item, not the modded entity or whatever, just the Bedrock model. And then make sure the UV mode is on box UV and not on per face. And then just, add whatever and then start modeling. But again, easiest would be just to use the basic Steve from my website. So this is the model that Karltoffelchen gave me. It's very nice. There's no overlapping parts. Like this part was like all the way and they were overlapping over here. You don't want that because then it will flicker in game. I might go over things a little bit too fast. Ooh, questions in text. Isn't Bedrock just for the Bedrock version? It is for the Bedrock version, but once you export it, it's all just JSON. It's just a text file, which we are gonna do now. Export. And then you want to export the Bedrock geometry. And then just save forever, save. And then you go to wherever you saved and you open it. Well, I'm gonna zoom out just a little bit. And here you have basically the parts that you made in Blockbench, like with the different cubes. And if you did it correctly, you should name your parent like something. In this case, it's head. Then you go back here. Then you have your head part over here with the different cubes there. First things first, you can delete the body, the head, the left arms. Those are all from the basic Steve, and we do not want to add those in game. Next, I would suggest to download the basic JSON file, also from my website. Okay, and just copy that. In 1.18, I've added something new to your .minecraft folder. There was already the more player models folder, that one, but there's also now assets and then more player models. It's basically a texture pack only in folder format. If you go to parts there, you can just paste it into here. And we are making a propeller head. And we open it. The name. Let's do head. This is taken out of the language file, so it should translate to head. I'll make a list of the things that are translated, but you can also just propeller head if you want to. That is fine. Render data is what we need. And then we go to here. And then you select everything inside of the first two squiggly brackets, whatever they're called. And you copy. Then you go to render data and you paste. Let's just not add that for the moment. We want it to be in the head where body part is the head. Okay, and we save that. Now when you go in game, you can hit F3 and T and that will reload all the textures in game and stuff. And that should also load in the new part that we just added. If we did nothing wrong, that is. There it is, propeller head. So, do we see any obvious problems with it? I guess seems to work. That is the very basics of the thing. Currently, you can add things to the head, the body, and the legs. The arms I'm still working on, but I will get that working in the future as well. We also made a texture here, and we do want to use that texture because currently it's just using this texture, which is just a white sheet, basically. But since we do have a texture here, wait, can I download this somehow? Save as, yes, we can. Save. Alright. We'll just go here in our assets folder, into texture, sure, why not? Propellerheads.png. So textures, propellerheads.png. I don't think there's much of a difference, but you know. Just reload again. The camera settings is part of more Play models. If you are in backwards third person view and you hold control, you can rotate the camera and you can zoom in with the scroll wheel. I guess I should also show off how animation works. I only recently added that. A moment, we want animation data. Oh, before that we should probably show off the other things as well. So if you modeled your part yourself and if it's too high or too low, or well, you can just use these variables here that translate, scale, rotate, offset, and rotate. You can basically rotate, move it up and down using these variables. I expected it to float somewhere because the values were off over here. There's the head. And that is because it is being scaled. Now we need to undo that. So no scaling. Let's see, we do not need to rotate it. So it's rotated 90 degrees on the Y. This is, by the way, X, Y, and the Z scale. We do not need to rotate it. We probably do need to translate it, but let's see where it ends up without first. There we have it. So now we need to lower it a bit. This is how you'll have to do it for your own models, Minky. Unless you, of course, want to give them to me to add to the mod. In case you missed it, Minky, you just go into the model that you made. You export it as bedrock geometry. You get a geo.json file. Oh, I do have it open. And it will show the Steve model parts. You can just delete those. And then you copy the data inside of it to the render data over here. That's it. That's the basic gist of it, and then you just have to fidget around with getting it to the correct position. I want to have the propeller rotate. For that, we will need to add rotation things. We need animation data. Oop. And then the first one is animation length. It'll probably be 4. Honestly, maybe 8. Speed. Just 1. Yes, we want it to be additional. True, and the last one is bones. Was that an array or was that not an array? No, that was not an array. That was also a list. Static. Yes, like that. And then it's model part and rotations. The part that we want to rotate is called bone. It's kind of a bad name. Let's call it propeller. The reason it's called bone is because it's called bone over here. It's a bad name, but oh well. Doesn't really matter. Do we want the propeller to rotate? We'll have him. That's always the question. Y rotation is what we want, right? Yeah, I think so. We'll start at 0. Then 45. 90 degrees. 135. Is that correct? Yes, that is correct. Two, 5. And then it's 270. 30315. Yeah. And then it's around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Then we once again reload. Wonder if this works in one go. Well, it is rotating. Hey, it's rotating. So kind of wanted to make it rotate faster. Let's say 4. Oh, interesting. Now why does that happen? Oh, because it loops. Yeah. So if you want to rotate it entirely, actually I should probably make an animation option for that to enable looping or not looping. Yeah, it's fine for now. So for this I made a static animation. Sorry. There are a ton of other animation options for walking, idle, flying, tail wagging, for sleeping, crawling. For example, when you're sitting, I had to rotate the legs like 80 degrees. Fly. Wait, what did I do for flying with the legs? Why is this? Oh, that's probably work in progress, right? Oh no, that's for the walking, because for some reason, if you walk into the air, it still moves the legs. Yeah. That's the lag animation. I will need to figure out why our first try didn't work with the basic file. So currently, if you want to do this, just open the mod file and take one of the JSON files out of the parts. If you open it and it's in assets, more player models, and then parts, you can find a part that looks like one of your parts, and then just copy it and edit render data. There are 2 render types, simple and bedrock. I at the moment only showed bedrock. The simple one is for 2D textures. For example, the hair. All hairstyles are just a flat 2D texture that I make 3D in the code. Kind of how weapons work. The weapon is just a 2D part, and it's made into a 3D object. The simple rendering type works the same. I'm sure you can figure out how it works if you just open one of the existing ones. For the other ones, I would suggest, for example, the cowboy hat's a good example. You just replace the render data with whatever you have. Well, it was fun, guys. I hope this was clear enough. It was kind of janky here and there. Might make another video when I have a proper tutorial written. I was working on the tutorial, but it's also still a work in progress, as it's not completely done yet. Which are just excuses, I know. I'll make sure this is completed soon. Anyways, have a nice weekend, guys, and goodbye.